Okay, so we are back again. Now we will be animating our design. So let's just get into it. But before we start animation, I have installed the LottieFiles plugin and also logged in my account. You can do that just by clicking here. There will be a login button, and then you just have to log into via browser. So before we get into animating the our design, there are some things to keep in mind before we do that, and I will just walk you through them now. First of all, as I told you that these animations are basically Lottie animations are basically JSON animations. So basically they are coding files. Okay. So there are some restrictions and there are some things that we cannot do. And what are those things? Well, there are some really amazing features of Adobe After Effects that we cannot use at all. And you might ask me that what are those features? Well, those features are, let's just create a comp and let's just hit main. Let's just create a rectangle and change the color maybe. Okay, so what we can't use is, let's just get into effect, and let me show you that we cannot use any of these effects at all. First of all, please keep in mind that we cannot use any of these effects. Now this might disappoint you, but there are some restrictions because the JavaScript does not know that there are effects inside After Effects, that because these effects are not inside the coding. It's basically a creation of Adobe After Effects. These are not a universal log of JavaScript language. Okay, so basically when the animation is being played like here on this website, it doesn't know, the JavaScript does not know that it has been created in After Effects or where else. It doesn't care. There are certain rules of every language which we have to follow, and the rules are that we cannot use any effects of Adobe After Effects. Okay, so let's just have a look which features we can't use and which features we can use. And also please keep in mind, if you are gonna be really working as a professional, please try not to use some features which only have one cross and there are 5 ticks. Okay, please only use features which have only green marks all over the graph. Now why am I saying that? Because there have been some times, and I have witnessed it myself, that I have seen many animations on Lottie animations platform which look incredibly good at PC or on web when I watch them on my computer or laptops. But when I log into my mobile app and I try to preview those animations, they just don't work because people use, sometimes they use alpha mattes which we can't use, and some types of extra features like offset paths or other stuff which works on the Windows but does not work on iOS or Android. So please try not to do that, because when you are creating animations for people or your clients, the user can be on any type of device, so you have to keep that in mind first. Okay, you are solving their problems. You don't want them to think that how this idiot created this animation, that it works somewhere but it doesn't work somewhere else. And the developers will also think that you are not professional because you don't know how to get the job done without any errors. So please keep that in mind. Only use features which are green tick. Now there are exceptions, but please 99% of the time only use allowed features on every type of system. Okay, so shape layers, let's just have a look. Shapes are all allowed. Ellipse, rectangles. Polystar is not allowed, so avoid that. We can group the shapes, so that's good. We can't use repeater, so avoid it. Trim pass individually. Actually, I haven't really faced any issue on using trim paths when I use them simultaneously. So try to avoid maybe using them in individually. Now I'm not really sure how does it affect, because I have tried to use many times trim paths in my animations, but they always work perfectly, and I have tested them on Windows as well. So yeah, let's just check now fills. We can animate the fill in color, opacity, fill rule, radial gradient, or linear gradient. So these are all perfect, but we can't use any freedom gradient because the option is not available inside Adobe After Effects. Okay, so please keep in mind that you can't use freedom gradients inside Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so let's just go ahead into strokes. We can use everything on a strokes, a military joint, and line joins and line caps, width, opacity, and gradients and dashes, everything. Okay, so transform. Auto orient is not allowed, and you can't really skew and the animation. So basically skew is not really a useful tool as well. We don't even really do that, so let's just avoid that, and we will not auto orient the file or our layers. Okay, we can animate the position, separate x and y is also allowed. A scale, rotation, anchor point, opacity, parenting is really useful when animating stuff, and it is really useful when you are creating character animation. So this will be really useful in future classes. Okay, and after that there is interpolation. So what does interpolation means actually? Interpolation means there are multiple types of keyframe inside After Effects. Now what are those keyframes? Let's just create those keyframes. Okay, so these are basically linear keyframes right now that we're seeing. When we hit F9, then these become Bezier keyframes, and when we hit Control Alt, these become hold keyframes, and when we hit only Control click, these become continuous velocity keyframes. So basically all types of keyframes are allowed inside Lottie animations, and that is the reason why I love After Effects and I want to use it, because we can now really adjust this however we like, and there will be no issues in Lottie animations. And we can also change the graph as well. We can also edit the value in value graph. Obviously this is a position, so we will have to separate the dimensions here before animating that. Okay, so yeah, we can definitely do this as well. So yeah, these are the huge advantages that the After Effects has to offer to us. So okay, let's just go ahead and check the masks. Okay, so masks are allowed but only four features: subtract, add, mask opacity, and mask path. Okay, so what does that mean? When we create a shape, as you know, we can create a mask from here by choosing this tool. So basically we can animate this mask path like this. We can animate this one to create basically alpha matte style animation. Instead of using alpha matte, try to use masks. Please do not try to use alpha mattes because they create really messy issues. So okay, so we can animate the mask opacity and use the add and subtract option on masks from here. Okay, we can't use the rest, only add and subtract, so please keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and check the mattes. Okay, as you can see, we can't use any of the mattes because there are some cross or there are some question marks. So let's just leave luma matte out of the option and luma inverted matte also out of the option. Only alpha matte and alpha inverted matte are available, but only in mobile apps. So users will have issues when you will use them. When users will preview your animations on Windows or any other web canvases. So okay, again let's go ahead and check the merge path. It is allowed everywhere on Windows but not on the iOS, so let's just not use that. And layer effects, so basically layer effects are only available to web animations but not on Windows or on iOS and Android. So we will not be using those as well, because you might create animations for mobile apps in future, and it is not a good habit to get to use layer effects. And after that there is text. For text, I would like to give you only one tip, and that is that please convert your text into shape layers. That's it. Try not to do anything else with your text, or it will create or cause issues. So create your text, finalize it, and then in the end convert it into glyphs. Glyphs work everywhere. I have seen them work on iOS and Windows as well. So maybe if they are converted by plugin, then they cause issue, but if you convert them manually, then they will not cause any issues. Other than that, there are some other features which are expressions are not allowed. Ellipse precoms will give you really huge benefits when combining a complicated scene together, so that's really good news. Time stretch is really not needed because you should be creating the animation the way it should be created, not just creating it in 1 second and then just stretching it long out. So leave that out of the option. Time remapping is also not allowed, so let's just leave that. Markers, I haven't used really any of them at any time, but maybe there will be a day when I will be using them, so yeah. Okay, so now one thing to keep in mind which is really important is that every shape should be a vector shape. As we have discussed before, these animations are scalable vector. So in order to create a Lottie animation without any faults, it is really important that whatever layers you are going to use, they should have a star like this on them. Basically what this star means is that the layer is a complete vector. Okay, so basically it's a shape layer. So please keep in mind that this star is available or your animation will have issues. Now before I start the animation, there was a slight issue that I noticed in the file. The file was basically a linear gradient. When we convert gradients into shape layers inside After Effects, they don't really work well. They become gray color and it fails to change the color. So basically we will just have to use flat colors for now. In this class we will only use flat colors. There are ways to utilize gradients as well, but it requires some complex plugins and it is really complex to explain, and that will be too much for this beginners class, but we will definitely cover that in the next advanced classes. So I've just changed the color to flat, that's it. So now we will just import this button into Adobe After Effects. Okay, so when you are importing the work, please keep in mind that we will be using composition. Okay, not footage type, but we will be using the composition option and we will choose the layer size and hit OK. And now we will create a new comp. We will name it animation button. Okay, hit enter and it is only 500 into 500 pixels, just like our design. Now we will go into our design comp and copy all the layers by pressing Ctrl C, and we will paste it here, Ctrl V. We will close the design comp. Okay, so now we will select all these layers, and as we know there needs to be a star right here, so let's just go through this option, create, and go to into create shapes from vector layer. Okay, so just by this click we have converted our layers into vector layers. So we will delete the illustrator layers, and now before we animate something, let's just rename our layers. The bottom one is circle, the middle one is wrist, I will call it, and the upper one is palm. Okay, so let's just animate our circle and our hand separately, so our animation will look more better and interesting. We will zoom in a bit, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go to 6th keyframe. I'll create another keyframe and I will go to keyframe number 10 and I will create a keyframe again. Now this will be our final position and our start should be from 0. Okay, and the middle one should be an overshoot position. Okay, and I will just select all these three and I will ease them real quickly, and this is how it looks. Okay, good enough. And now I will animate our wrist and palm, and I want to control them as if they were one layer. Okay, but I'm not able to do that right now. So how are we going to do that? If we want to do this, I'll just go ahead and create a null object, which is a very simple thing inside After Effects. If you have used already, you will know. I will rename this one and call it hand CTRL. CTRL basically means control, and when we are rigging characters, basically this is the universal code used for controllers. Okay, and I will parent both of these layers to this controller that I have created at the wrist. Okay, so now it's parented. So now just animate this controller. I will animate its rotation and scale. So let's just open these two properties and I will create the final keyframes. I have created my first keyframes as well. I will create the middle positions overshoot. I will add more rotation by maybe 10, and the starting position should be from above. I think it should just come into the circle by slamming in. I'm typing the value minus 45 degrees. This will be scaling down to 0 and it will push up to 110% scale, and I will ease these all. Okay, so here is how it looks. Okay, perfect. Now I don't want all the elements to come at the same time, so I want to add some follow through maybe, and I want to add some gap between the keyframes. Okay, so before we do that, I would like to first tell you that whenever you are creating animations for your portfolio, please keep in mind that you are creating those animations in perfect loops, just like this one that I have created. And on my profile there are maybe one or two animations which are not perfect loop, but I have created 104 animations in total which are at my profile, and 100 of them are, I am absolutely sure 100 of them are absolutely perfect loops. So when you are creating your animations for your portfolio, please keep in mind that it will be better to create perfect loops because people will be able to use it more easily then. So let's just create our keyframes. We will close our loop here because there should be some gap after the animation is completed, and now it should go back. Okay, so maybe we will take it even further so that the entire interval is 1 second and the animation closes at 2 seconds complete. Okay, so we will go ahead and 4 keyframes, 1 2 3 4. We will copy these keyframes one by one, copy and paste, Control C and Control V, and I will go ahead 10 keyframes from here, and I will paste all these one by one as well. Okay, so now our animation is created perfectly. Now let's just add some. Okay, so as you can see, adding some gap really adds so much effect. So it basically makes things more aligned and clear, and eye tracing really works well, that one element is coming after another, so it makes really much sense. Okay, so there seems a little mess when the circle comes on the screen and the like button pops in. It looks perfect, but then when the circle goes down, the big thumb looks weird. So I think it will be better if the thumb goes first. So I have just bring it 2 keyframes back and they are at the same stage, so I will just bring these 2 keyframes even 2 keyframes back, so there will be 2 keyframe gaps from each side. Okay, so now let's have a look. Okay, so now you can see that it looks much better, right? Okay, so let's just keep our header at 1 second and 23 keyframes and hit N, and now this is 2 seconds perfect loop. As you can see, our animation looks perfect, and now it's time to export our animation in Lottie format. Before we do that, let's just observe the features of LottieFiles plugin. We'll just refresh this button and it will show all of our comps. Okay, this will not show the comp which is open here, it will show all the comps that are available inside our project, so please keep that in mind. Now our animation button comp is the one which has our animation, so let's just go ahead and click the setting button. The first option is Lottie metadata. We don't care about that, so let's just leave that. That is an expression option. As you know, we can't use expressions, but there is an option that we can use expressions and convert them into keyframes, but it will increase our Lottie file size, so which we don't want to do. After that there is assets. by using assets option we can include images inside our Lottie animation, but we don't want to use that because raster images are not really a good thing for Lottie animations. There are some exceptions, but only when the time comes we will use it, only when the time comes. So that will be not the case in 99% chances. So let's just leave that and select to export hidden layers. No, there are no hidden layers. Guide layers. No, there are no guide layers. Select if expressions are pointing to external comps. No, they are not. So let's just untick and hit save. Now we will go ahead and click the arrow, and as you can see our animation looks perfect. And there is a download button. Okay, and below that we can save our animation to workspace. You have to go ahead and create a workspace, and then you can hit upload and the animation will upload on it. Okay, so our animation is now uploaded, but when we go down and we have a look here, as you can see our animation is only 5.8 kilobytes and the .lottie size is 1.8 kbs, so that's really amazing. Okay, so we can download our animations by clicking this button in the JSON format, and we can send this to client by downloading it from here, maybe if this was a client project. Okay, after that when we come down there is a feature support checker. As we can see, no issue found. It's really good news because we have only used the features allowed by LottieFiles animations, so that's why there are no issues. Okay, we used 12 features. As you can see here, it will show you everything, but we used only the features which are allowed, so that's really great. And this is the reason why I told you to only use the features which are allowed by LottieFiles. And below is render graph, which I have never used and I don't know what it means actually, because it is maybe more of a developer's job to know. And below that there is background color, which we can change, but absolutely not, we will not change it because our animations should be a transparent background so people can use them anywhere they like without messing with the background, and the transparent background will allow them to use it really easily on the websites and mobile apps. So please keep in mind that your animations should be transparent backgrounds. Okay, so let's just go ahead on our website in our public animations and let's just go into our class. Let's just refresh our page. And as you can see our animation is right here. Okay, so here are some features that we can use. We can really recolor, or we can create background colors as well. We can enable asset links. So basically, as you say, this was a exclusive animation that you created for your friend only, you don't want to show this to the world, you'll just enable this asset link and then you will copy link from here, which will appear. Please wait, it will just come. You can use this from here as well and copy this code, and you can just send this code to your developer friend and they will be able to easily add this in their website. Okay, so if you don't want to do that, maybe you want to upload this to public, you can do that by hitting the share button and coming to publish to the community, and you can hit publish, and from here you can add a title, maybe like button, and then you can upload your After Effects file, which you don't need to. And then after that there are tags, maybe Lottie, maybe like, maybe button, maybe animation, maybe loop. Okay, so these will increase chances of your Lottie animations being downloaded, so you can add as many as you like maybe. Okay, so Lottie plugin for Adobe After Effects, please choose that. We will tag which tools we have used. We will use Adobe After Effects because we have used that as well. You can use Illustrator as well if there is Illustrator in these options. No, there is not, so let's just leave that. We will type in here a description of our animation, which is an animation of a like button, and we will hit the confirm guidelines and we will be able to publish our animation. And that is how you can create your very own Lottie animations, and I wish you all the best to create your very own first Lottie animation and post them and share them with the world, and start getting some attention and create some really good portfolio. Please feel free to tag me when you create your first animations. Tag me on socials and my profile will be bold by it. So I'm looking forward to critiquing your work. And please do not discourage yourself by thinking that my work is really amazing. Please keep in mind that these are character animations and these actually require a lot more time and effort to do. These animations require 4 to 5 hours inside After Effects, and there are multiple layers, so it was not a suitable class to teach so much advanced work. But I will be definitely bringing more advanced class in which I will be teaching this stuff, and you don't have to worry about that. They will be available really very soon, and you can maybe go ahead and practice in the meantime with the simpler icons, just like I did. So people do really love these animations as well, and these have been downloaded so much times as well. There are 15 likes on my animation, and it has all of these have been downloaded over 100 times or 50 times plus. So have some faith and start animating stuff, and I will see you really very soon.